Oh, man. Hey, shalom, 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 everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Whew, it's gonna be an early read tonight, man. An early read tonight. I'm tired. So since I'm tired, man, I've been in that garden, man. We're not gonna be doing tonight. We will not be doing the workout tonight, man. Not tonight. Not tonight. Not tonight. We'll probably pick back up with the workout tomorrow night. But for right now, welcome to Reading with Shallow, man. Welcome to Read with Shallow. This is part 3 of the Africans in Colonial Louisiana. Part 3. My name is GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall, man. The sea of pages has been laid before us today. Ooh, I feel good. Fresh out the shower, beard washed from all the dirt. I need to wash my hair. But I'm going to be back in the garden tomorrow. I've got stuff to do. But I wanted to read because I know once I go to sleep tonight, I'm not getting back up. It ain't going to be no 3 o'clock in the morning live. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. So let me get to it while I'm awake, while I have breath to breathe. And I have all that I need to succeed. Let me get my ass up and do something. Let me get my ass up and read. So, welcome back to everybody. Welcome back to everybody. Welcome to those newcomers as well, man. Come on in. Let's begin and see what we can drag about the sea of pages. What kind of information can we unearth? What truths can we bring out? And what lies can we expose? What stories can be told? Like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your people, man. We out here reading shit. We doing shit. We learning shit. We growing shit. We building shit. We carving shit, man. We trying to be better shit. Better than we was before. Man. Better than we was before. That's what we trying to do. So, I hope you ready. It was a lot of historical information so far in the first 2 parts. The first 2 parts. We definitely should get to chapter 2 tonight. That's what I'm shooting for. Shalom. Shalom. Definitely shoot to get to chapter 2 tonight. We've got about 10 pages. 10 pages to read before we get to chapter 2. And we're going to push through. We're going to push through. As we see what the Africans in Colonial Louisiana has to offer us. What does the Africans in Colonial Louisiana has to offer us? Oh, man. Whew. I hope everybody doing wonderful, man. What y'all did today? Chapter 1 is Chaos of French Rule. The Chaos of French Rule. Yeah, we just starting. It's going to be the 28th book to assassinate. The 28th book to assassinate. Not by your ass. 28th book to assassinate. 28th book to roll through. Hopefully we can help destroy some of the mental barricades some of y'all and even I myself have blocking our shit. Oh, man. Burn down the plantations. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started. Part 3 of chapter 1, Africans in Colonial Louisiana by GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. Nice cover, nice waxy cover. Part 3, the chaos of the French rule. Now, the Indian nations in the Mississippi Valley were powerful in numbers as well as in economic and military importance. The Indian fur trade was vital to the economy of French Louisiana, and by 1740, the Choctaw were still a populous nation of 15,000 to 20,000 people, including 5,000 warriors. The Choctaw Chickasaw allies of the English had only about 500 warriors, and Indian allies of the French, including the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Alabama, still counted 12,000 warriors by mid-century. By 1758, Cleric estimated the Choctaw warriors at 3,500 to, 4,000, and the Alabama also included the Tallapoosa and the Abica, and they could raise 1,000 warriors. The Coweta, allies of the French about 30 leagues from the Alabama, had 2,000 good and brave warriors, and the Tunica, close allies of the French, had been reduced to only 60 warriors. The Appalachee, situated east of Mobile Bay, had been reduced to 30 warriors because of the effects of the alcohol trade to them. And the Homer, located 22 leagues from New Orleans, had 60 warriors, and the Arkansas, about 250 leagues from New Orleans, included 160 men. Now, these were only nations of Lower Louisiana listed as reliable French allies, and the Cherokee had been lost by the French, though they shifted their loyalty back to France when it became clear that the English were about to drive the French out of the Mississippi Valley. And without counting the Cherokee, there were in Lower Louisiana alone still about 8,000 reliable and effective Indian warriors who were French allies during the closing of the years of French rule. The French reliance on Indian warriors was particularly great because the French troops sent to Louisiana were considered notoriously unreliable, disloyal, treacherous, cowardly, and ready to desert to the enemy at every opportunity. And as early as 1719, there were complaints that the French troops were deserting to the Indians and they going to Carolina, and then going to Carolina. They no longer feared being burned alive by the Indians. And because the Carolinas colonists had instructed their Indian allies not to harm them, it is not surprising that French troops often deserted and seeking refuge among the Indians, and they were miserably treated. And it was reported that during the Spanish siege of Pensacola in 1719, the commander, Benneville's brother, Serigny looked first to his personal property, and he used the garrison to move his slaves, his silverware, and belongings to Dauphin Island, and taking enough time to fold his linen. Now, Serigny and the garrison were absent during the siege, and then Serigny surrendered, and several French soldiers who had gone over the Spanish during the siege were recaptured and during the invasion of Mobile, and all were shot without trial. 35 more were recaptured on Spanish ships, and they were tried. 12 were sentenced to be hanged, and the rest to work for life on the galleys of France. Now, Benneville's exploration for the desertion of these 50 French soldiers was echoed in various forms by all the governors and commanders who ruled in French Louisiana. It is exceedingly painful for an officer who is entrusted with the destinies of a colony to have nothing better to defend her than a band of deserters, of smugglers, and of rogues who are ever ready not only to abandon their flag, but to turn their arms against their country. And Benneville claimed that his troops deserted because they had been sent to Louisiana against their will, and asked that only voluntary troops be sent. Yeah, that is a reason to desert. I don't understand. Why would you, especially when they was deporting people. They was deporting a lot of people. If your country will deport you, to go fight in Louisiana, why would you really want to? Why wouldn't you desert? However unwillingly the French troops came to Louisiana, their desertion cannot be explained without considering the conditions they found there. The all-pervading corruption, exploitation, and brutality that kept them in desperate want and that made them willing to take any risk to try to escape. Count between the possibilities of being burned alive or scalped by the Indians or being shot by their superiors. And the troops and even the officers often lived under atrocious conditions. Now, the Arctaggett wrote, I don't know how to pronounce that. D. Artigute. That sounds better. D'Artigute wrote, "It is pitiful to see them, as they are, all naked and most often living on crushed and boiled Indians' corn with a piece of meat. And besides, these said soldiers are not paid at all, so they can only be very dissatisfied. And officers were no better off. They rent clothes cost half of their rent cost half of their pay, and they were reduced to eating beans. And when they could get any, and they had to engage in trade to make a living, but Bonneville sold trade goods only to his favorites, and there were constant mutinies. Drought de Valdetry, who had commanded at Dauphin Island and at Biloxi, wrote about conditions in the colony in 1726. And their troops had no arms or ammunitions. They had no clothing most of the time, and often had to seek food among the Indian tribes. There were no forts for the protection in case of attack, and warehouses were without roofs, and the guns and ammunition were ruined. The company, as well as the colonists, are plundered without mercy and restraint, and revolts and desertions among the troops are authorized and sanctioned, and incendiaries who, for the purpose of pillage, commit to the flames whole camps, posts, settlements, and warehouses, remains unpunished, and prisoners of war are forced to become sailors in the service of the company, and by culpable negligence or conveyance, they are followed to the runaway with ships loaded with merchandise, and other vessels are willfully stranded and wrecked, and their cargoes are lost to their owners. Forgers, robbers, and murderers are secure of impunity. And in short, this is a country which, to the shame of France to be said, is without religion, without justice, without discipline, without order, and without police." The life of a soldier had no value, and in 1745, a 36-year-old French soldier refused to eat the munition bread served at the barracks because he said it was not fit for a dog, and he was jailed, tried, and convicted of sedition, mutiny, and revolt, and condemned to be hung and strangled until death doth ensue. At Kaskaskia, in the Illinois country, Jean Duchardre, a French soldier who had been branded with a V for Verlier, thief in France, was accused of burglary, and he confessed that he had stolen 8 chickens, brought them to the barracks, and put them in a pot to boil. That boy wanted some soup. Gumbo. Is that the first gumbo? And brought them to the barracks and put them in a pot to boil. He had no accomplices. He only wanted so many chickens in order to divide them with the other soldiers. And Duchardre was sentenced to be hanged and strangled until death, or if there was no executioner, to be shot down. Now, Vaudreuil and Ordinateur Michael wrote that few of the soldiers sent to Louisiana were suited to marry, settle down, and cultivate the land, and they described them as men scraped together, and very often bandits, and many desertions, legal executions, and homicides occurred among them. The disease occasioned by the licentious life that they had led, and by the excess of drink, have caused many to perish, and they have mutinied in all the fortresses where they have been posted to await embarkation and for Louisiana, and scarcely have the officers who have conducted them on the different vessels of which they have been sent being able to restrain them. And such violent affairs have occurred that it has been necessary on their arrival to put some of them to death in order to chastise the past and to give examples for the future. And they breathe here nothing but desertion and revolt. Now, Michael soon became convinced that desertion among the soldiers was caused by the misappropriation of the troops, food, and supplies by Vaudreuil and his Canadian creatures, and his kinsmen and allies of himself or of his wife, who had occupying all the posts. He accused Vaudreuil, his wife and family, and clique of Canadian favorites of stifling the economy and compromising the defense of the colony by selling the supplies intended for the troops to the highest bidder, emptying the king's warehouse, and monopolizing the selling of scarce goods at a high price. The governor's wife operated a bazaar and in her home and forced merchants throughout the colony to sell her goods at the prices she fixed. Now, troops were mutinying and deserting because they were hungry and naked, Michael claimed, and Vaudreuil and his clique helped themselves to the goods from the king's warehouse. They sold the flour intended for the soldiers to the Indians and fed the soldiers corn. And one of 8 soldiers who deserted from the French fort at Tombeckaby left a note saying that they had left to pay for the flour, and the deserters were arrested by the Choctaw. And a group of about 50 Choctaw chiefs, honored men, and warriors brought them back. Alabaman Mingo, one of the chiefs, said, "I know well that these Frenchmen have done wrong, but they will show the red man so much the more clearly that M.D. Vaudreuil, their father, has consideration for their request. And he can easily imagine the infinite pain that it would give him or give the Choctaws to see shed the blood of the people who every day bring them the things they need, and that with great difficulty. Furthermore, are not these Frenchmen, so to speak, our brothers? Do we not dwell as it were in the same cabin?" And Vaudreuil pointed out that these soldiers were guilty, but that there was danger of worse consequences if they were not pardoned, and the Choctaw might, in the future, refuse to arrest deserters and might even help them, making it difficult to maintain French military posts in the territory. The governor's proposed solution was to offer the Indians a price for the scalps of the French deserters equal to the price they paid for the scalps of the Chickasaw Indians, and so much for racial and national solidarity and fellow feeling on Louisiana frontier. The deserters were held in a dungeon at Mobile, and it was only when the Choctaw chiefs declared to the French officials in the presence of the French sentinels and soldiers that they would no longer return deserters, but would furnish them guides to facilitate their escape, that the officials produced the deserters and pardoned them. Otherwise, they concluded, they would no longer be able to retain one soldier, and the Choctaw agreed to return all future deserters. Several years later, several French deserters were pardoned at the request of the Arkansas nations after 2 Arkansas chiefs made formal and public promises that all future French deserters would be returned unconditionally. Now, Cleric, which was governor during the French and Indian War of 1754 to 1761, which cost France her empire on the North American continent, he wrote that he had complained in several dispatches that the troops sent to Louisiana by the king were vicious, professional deserters who did more harm than good, and some deserted, others succumbed to the most extreme horrors of drink, debauchery, and licentiousness, and the rest, a small number, were more dangerous for the colony than the enemy itself. Now, Cleric cited that the example of Jean-Baptiste Boudreau, maybe it's Boudreau, but it's Boudreau. He had been pardoned after being condemned to 10 years on the galleys and had escaped to New Orleans and taken refuge among the Indians. And his pardon was requested because of the damage he could do to the colony if he was pushed into siding with the English and the Indians, about whom he knows more than all other French on the continent. And he was subsequently accused of stealing the effects of the shipwrecked Spanish ship and instigating his fellow soldiers to murder their commander and desert to the English. One of his companions, Francois Villons, was found not guilty because he had been forced to desert at gunpoint, and Baudreau and Joseph Francois Basile were condemned to be broken live on the wheel, their bodies cut into quarters and thrown into the streets. And their sentence was carried out by the troops 3 hours after it was pronounced. Ooh, they didn't play. They did not play. Put them on the wheel and cut their ass up. Feed them to the dogs. One of the Swiss soldiers was sawed in half, and the French army's customary form of execution for Swiss soldiers. A Swiss corporal stabbed himself with a knife that he wore around his neck, Indian style, to avoid such an execution. Now, Jean Bernard Boussoulj, a French soldier who served at various frontier posts in Louisiana between 1751 and 1757, and from 1757 to 1762, claimed that Baudreau had been kept in chains for a long time because he refused to share with the officers the goods he salvaged from the Spanish shipwreck. Now, Boussoulj wrote that the soldiers on Cat Island revolted because their commander, Duro, made them grow crops and make lime out of the seashells and charcoal for his profit without paying them. And those who refused were tied naked to trees and to be stung by mosquitoes. And boy, oh boy, what a fate. What a fate. Because them mosquitoes down here don't play. They own you. You need to walk around with a damn mosquito net on you. Ooh, they did them boys dirty. Those who refused were tied naked to trees. The first naked and afraid. Oh, you don't want to do what I tell you? Tie his ass to them trees. Let them mosquitoes get him. You're going to die of malaria. West Nile. Mississippi disease. Boussoulj wrote, the type of punishment meted out by this officer to the soldiers of his garrison is beneath the dignity of the savages. Duro made them eat flour salvaged from the Spanish shipwreck while he sold the flour provided to them for his own profit. The soldiers went to Cleric to lodge complaints and to show him the bad bread they received, but he sent them back to be dealt with by their commander. The next commander at Cat Island, appointed by a cleric, managed to steal and conceal the entire cargo of the Spanish ship set adrift after its crew mutinied. And Boussoul's informed and convincing book about conditions in Louisiana, though approved by the French censors before publication, landed him in the Bastille for 6 weeks because of his criticisms of cleric. Boy, you can't talk about nobody. You can't tell them the truth. You can't say we don't want this bullshit ass bread. We want some real bread. Don't give me that molded shit. I don't want that. We're going to lock your ass up, kill you. With the outbreak of the French and Indian War in 1754, the British established a fixed cruiser blockade at Cape San Antonio at the western end of Cuba and turning the Gulf of Mexico into a British lake. British privateers harassed French traders along the north coast all the way to the approaches to Belize and the fort of the mouth of the Mississippi River. Now, Indians were raising their tomahawks against French traders among them because they were not receiving their customary presents. And Cleric wrote, in short, we are in want of everything, and the dissatisfaction of the Indians leaves everything to be feared. And in 1758, William Perry, an American seaman held prisoner in New Orleans, reported that he saw numbers of Indians in town, 50 or 60 in a gang, and he was told that the French who go out of town anywhere into the country are frequently scalped. And during January, a message was sent to the governor of New Orleans from their friendly Indians that if they did not send them the supply of clothing and ammunition, that they would come and destroy them, on which they mustered their forces, expecting the Indians to come. Now, Perry reported that a vessel carrying troops from France to New Orleans was taken and that all but one of the 16 French ships carrying provisions and ammunition to New Orleans were captured by the English. Cleric had a solution. He allowed British ships coming from Jamaica to dock at New Orleans, and ostensibly under the flag of truce and exchange prisoners, these ships sold slaves all as well as merchandise, and in December of 1759, an English trade ship came from Rhode Island loaded with dry goods and without any prisoners. Now, Cleric helped guide the ship up the Mississippi River, past the vessels of the king, and helped hide in it near New Orleans. And a public sale was held in the capital, announced by drummers marching through the streets. Sound like a second line. And the English were allowed to see that the fortifications being built, and Cleric had convoked the chief of the France's Indian allies, the Alabama, Tallapoosa, Abacars, and the Kawate, to the capital. And when they arrived in New Orleans, they were astonished to find English traders there. And as the French colonization of Louisiana approached its end, the French crown reviewed its policy for populating Louisiana. And a memorandum of the king dating from 1760 stated that populating Louisiana has been absolutely neglected since France has taken possession of the colony, and men and women who were criminals and prostitutes, whom one wished to get rid of in Paris and throughout the kingdom, were sent at various times, but the little care taken of them upon their arrival, as well as their laziness and licentiousness, resulted in their destruction, and there are practically none of them left today. And it can be regarded as fortune for this colony that such a bad race was wiped out in its beginning and did not give birth to a vicious people with corrupt blood. The memorandum called for populating the colony with the rejects of French society, who could perhaps nevertheless become functional in Louisiana. And since France had already lost too many inhabitants to permit free citizens to depart, they were to search out those who had been excluded from society by misfortunes, which did not render them unworthy to re-enter society without depriving the kingdom of its citizens. Now, faux seigneuries were suggested. Let's see what that means. Faux, I know that's fake. Faux seigneurs. Faux seigneurs. I think that's how you pronounce it. Faux seigneurs were suggested, or others who had been condemned to the galleys for the crime of selling products that were a commercial monopoly of the king. Faux seigneurs. Let's see. F-A-U-X. Faux. F-A-U-X. S-A-U-N-I-E-R-S. Faux seigneurs was a salt smuggler or a trafficker. How do you pronounce it? Let's see if we can pronounce it. Pronunciation. Faux, the French word faux, meaning fake or imitation, which I knew that one, is pronounced faux. How do you pronounce seigneurs? Let's just look up seigneurs. Saunier, oh, there we go. Saunier. Saunier. The name Saunier is pronounced Saunier. with the emphasis on the first syllable. So, son ye. Son ye. I think I was close. For son ye. Now, regardless of how necessary it was, and it is, to punish smugglers to assure the revenues of His Majesty, it seems nevertheless that one would achieve the same goal by deporting the guilty ones. Their exile would serve as the example of the punishment on the one hand, and on the other, one would reap a benefit from this portion of the population which is dead civilly and subject to a painful and ignominious labor. And one might even dare to say that there would be a justice in thus using them instead of condemning those caught with a little bit of salt, tobacco, or cloth to the same penalty as forgers, thieves, murderers, and other enemies of society and the state. Hoo-wee. Might as well have stole some shit. The memorandum also suggested that soldiers condemned to death or to the galleys for desertion could instead be sent to Louisiana as settlers. And while such harsh punishments were necessary to discourage desertions, it continued. And it is nevertheless upsetting to see that since the beginning of the century, more than 60,000 have been shot, most of whom could have become very good citizens if pardoned. And in Louisiana, those soldiers could be laborers or form a militia, and they could marry honest girls sent from the houses of charity in France and taught to work by the Ursuline nuns in New Orleans. But they would provide Louisiana with useful inhabitants and a healthy population, which one could never find among the vagabonds and conscripts whom one could send. The memorandum recommended that all pardonable deserters and smugglers be sent to Louisiana under the condition that they not return to France for 20 years. But these plans were too late for French Louisiana, and when Quebec fell to the British in 1759, it was clear that France had lost Canada to England, and her interest in holding on to her expensive Louisiana colony evaporated. And the Treaty of Paris in 1763 ceded Canada and East and West Florida to England, and the remnants of French Louisiana were ceded to Spain. Now, French Louisiana was a dangerous and unstable world, and warfare continued throughout most of the years of French colonization, and the colony was often cut off from supplies, and famine was frequent. The French regime was cold, brutal, and corrupt. And officials appointed to rule the colony quickly established cliques of followers who exploited and exercised tyrannical power over the isolated population. And they profited by seizing available supplies and monopolizing them and selling them at a higher price to desperate settlers. Most of the soldiers and many of the settlers were the rejects of French society, whose lives had no value as far as Louisiana's officials were concerned. And the French authorities looked to Africa for useful workers. We're going to stop there. That was chapter 1. That was chapter 1, chaos, or that was the end of chapter 1. Chaos in the French rule. That was part 3. Part 3 of the Africans in Colonial Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. We have reached chapter 2. Chapter 2, Senegambia during the French slave trade to Louisiana. Chapter 2 is not, I'm going to say it's long. From page 29 to page 55. 29 to 56, definitely a couple of sessions. A couple of sessions till we get to chapter 3. Death and revolt. The French slave trade into Louisiana. I bet that one sounds, even just the name of the chapter sounds like something that had to do with Haiti and the things that was going on with Haiti, which is one of the reasons why I picked it up. which is definitely one of the reasons why I picked it up, man. So we're moving along, rowing very nicely, rowing very nicely. I stumbled over some words. I need to figure out how to block some. Report your ass. Yeah, I wish I could block. I don't know how to block. Just remove. Yeah, man, we succeeded today. Had a long day, but I got stuff done. Oh man. So yeah, it was no work yet. No workout body today. No workout body today, but we definitely worked our mind for sure. That was definitely the objective, to get the reading done, because I'm not gonna be staying up late or getting up late. Once I go to sleep, I'm probably gonna be asleep. Oh, what I need to do. Yeah, that's what I need to do. I'll read one more. I'm gonna shut this off, and I'm gonna read the Rising Scripts right now, because I'm probably gonna be, man, I did not do Rising Scripts for 2 days. How dare I? Oh, I'm slacking. Oh Lord. I have not done Rising Scripts in 2 days. So I think I'm gonna shut this off and do Rising Scripts right quick before I go to bed. Before I call it a night. And finish off. Damn, I gotta take this off my head. Didn't want to do that. So I'll take it back. I'll wait. Maybe I'll wake up early. Maybe I'll wake up early. We'll see. We shall see. But hey, that's been reading with SHILO for tonight, man. I hope that it was something that y'all could take from the reading. Man, there was some shit going down in Louisiana. There was some shit going down in France too. France and them, all the wars going on. Where they say it was too expensive to hold Louisiana. Too expensive. The Indians wanted they pay. The French definitely was using, the French and the English definitely was using the Indians to fight the Indians, which I think is messed up. But you know, hey, what they say, how is the saying going about the enemy of my enemy is my friend? Something like that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And if that's not a saying, that showed what they was trying to do. And they was pitting them against each other and using them so that way they wouldn't have to use their soldiers, the ones that they had few and far in between in the first place, because they couldn't, the terrain and the place was so hospitable for them. And shit, when you was killing people off by tying them naked to trees and letting the mosquitoes bite their head. Oh, the mosquitoes was on them. They didn't have no off. I didn't even know what off was, man. No off, no lemongrass, no citronella. Oh, the mosquitoes were tearing their ass up, boy. The mosquitoes were tearing their ass up. Ooh, what a horrible way to go. Oh man, that is some torture. Talk about torture, torture, torture. Man. Let the mosquitoes tear your ass up, boy. Torture. But hey, I wouldn't want to go that way. Hey, man, I don't even be tied to no tree. Hey, just being out in the garden, the mosquitoes be on you. Shit, man, when it was hunting season and we out there, looking out for them deers, boy, my boys had mosquito bites all on it. When didn't have gloves on, if they did not have gloves on, the mosquito bites was all on their hands. Where they if they didn't have nothing on their face, and even if they did have something on their face, where it stopped at, and they had skin showing, the mosquitoes was going. I had to check them every time we came out the woods, man. You don't want to put a lot of shit on you. You don't want to put a lot of shit on you because the deer's gonna smell that stuff, man. The deer's gonna. So you can't go out there. You can't go out there with all that, all type of humbug and off and all type of stuff on you, man. The deer's gonna smell you and they're gonna run away. They're gonna run away. And I need them to come and play. Come on, deer. Come to me. Come to me. So I can hit you with this bow. Pop. Meat on the ground. Enough deer to send around. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. But those Indians, they persevered, they survived. The Choctaw, the Wada, Cherokee, the Arkansas. There's a couple other ones. The Abacus, the Tallapoosa. They was using a lot of them against everybody down there, man. Down close to New Orleans and Homer, Louisiana, where they film swamp people. You got to think about those things. These are the areas. A lot of these areas, I mean, there's been some changes, but a lot of them areas haven't changed that much. Outside of, they might not have as many gators as they had back then. Think of the swamp people back then. Think of them people, them people trying to brave the Mississippi and the Homer River valleys and stuff like that in Homer, Louisiana, man. Them gators after that. Them gators would be on them down there, man. Hey, boy, them boys wasn't. Hey, them gators don't play. Why the gators so ornery? Them gators don't play. Gators, man, it's so many dangers. Snakes, gators, big snapping turtles, big gator gall. Big old catfish down there. Big eels. Watch out for the what that is, the big rats. I just had it in my mind. Not the capybara. I forgot what they call them, the swamp rats. A nutria. The nutria rats, raccoons and possums, all that down there. Shit, they got brown bear down there. I mean, not brown bear, black bear. Black bear, they got black bear around here. And if they have all that stuff around here, man, I can only imagine all the things they had back then that, people wasn't used to. Boy, I can imagine all the crawfish they had around here. What is these little things coming out the ground? Dead everywhere. Dead people everywhere. Men, women, and children, disease, mosquitoes. Oh, man. Man, what a sight. Old Louisiana. If you wasn't Indian, baby, oh, you wasn't making it down here for real. Shit. But, hey, that was the Africans in Colonial Louisiana. That was part 3, man. Part 3 of the book. We're going to keep moving on. We'll keep moving on tomorrow. Lord willing, Lord spare life. Oh, man, I'll probably be out in my garden again tomorrow. That's the plan. So I don't know if I'm going to do my best to read. I'll probably read early again so I can get to bed earlier than normal. Yeah, probably be out in the garden again tomorrow. We'll see, man. I got some tilling and some moving some ground to do. I got one row done today. I need another row done, so I got 4 more rows to go. So if I could go ahead and get if I could get them other 4 rows done, I know I ain't gonna get them done tomorrow, but once I get them other 4 rows done, I'll be good to go. I'll be good to go, and hopefully the stuff I got growing in cups, I can get ready to put them in the pots. Got me some cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. I need to put some garlic down. Peas, beans. I got some more cucumbers and lettuce, spinach, watermelon. I think I got some more peppers. I think I put some peppers down too. Basil, chives. I got some potatoes down. I need to go find me some sweet potatoes. Get me some sweet potatoes and put me some sweet potatoes down too. So I've been working. I'm trying to get a big year this year, bigger than I had last year. So we'll see. So I can start making my own, continue making my own stuff. I made some good hot sauce last year. So we'll see about that. We'll see about making some more hot sauce this year. And try to can some stuff so we can save it. Cause even try to dry out some stuff so I can try to make my own seasonings and stuff like that. Cause these are things we gonna need to know, honestly. If the prices, they say how high the prices is getting in the stores, which I don't know necessarily, but they say how high the prices is getting in the stores for all type of stuff, man. You need to grow your own garden. Start growing your own garden. Start getting your hands dirty. Start learning and working your mind in those areas so you can be more sufficient, self-sufficient for you and your household for later on down the line. Cause shit gonna come down the line. It's gonna come down quick, and you don't want to be behind the power curve. Trying to learn how to garden and grow stuff in the midst of how they said how Louisiana was, or other places in the time of famine, or what may be considered famine. You know, who knows? Who knows? You just want to be prepared. You just want to prepare. So prepare yourself, man. Be ready so you ain't got to get ready. That's what they say. But check out next time, man, part 4. Check out next time as we come to you. Next time with part 4 of Africans in Colonial Louisiana by GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. If anybody wanna, that's the number. Let me see. Can you see that thing? If y'all want to go look up the book, the ISBN number 08071199997. If you want to look it up, and we can hurry up and get through this one and move on to the Black Indians, the one I want to read. But yeah, we'll keep pushing, man. We'll keep pushing. I hope y'all have a wonderful night, man. Shalom, everybody. Shalom, 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 man. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your people, man. We out here reading shit, doing shit. We trying to be better, man. Learn shit, build shit. I finished drawing up. I should do this. I finished drawing up the next carving for my son. I finished going over it. We got to draw it up now. So I'll probably get started on this one soon as well. I'll probably get started on this one soon since I finally finished it. At least the first step. First step is the drawing. I'll probably do a live once I get started on it. At least just to start taking out all the bulk, taking all the bulk areas that need to come out. I'll probably do that. I'll probably do a live for that. We'll get going. But man, this has been Reading with Shiloh, man. And until next time. Till next time, man. I'm out here, baby. I'm out here. Just doing shit. Oh man. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a nice night, man. Shalom. I'm out here.